Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
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 Good morning.
Love the red, Chrissy.
Thank you. How's it going?
Good, 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 good. Everybody's busy, thank God.
Yeah, we're all on fire.
All right. Well, while Rob's playing with the new tech, Brian, you want to talk to us about the mortgage minute?
Sure. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I hope everyone has a nice time with their significant other later.
Happy Valentine's.
So rates are still bouncing around like usual. They're coming down more consistently lately. Yesterday, Freddie Mac released a statement that the 30-year fixed is at its lowest point in 2025 so far. Economic news, real briefly, inflation numbers Wednesday and Thursday came out. Rates were up. They were ticked over 7, then they were down again. Retail sales came out today. Net for the week, we're down. We're still below 7, which is great. FHA is in the mid to low 6s. I also want to take this opportunity to remind everyone of the time of the year that we're dealing with, tax season. So tax season is the perfect opportunity to look at your buyers, people that are still searching for homes, maybe that didn't qualify last year, right? People are more specifically self-employed. Encourage them to speak with their lender again. This is the perfect opportunity to revisit the income calculations that their lender is using to qualify them for financing. All too often, people come to us as lenders and they already have their tax returns prepared, and their accountant, because they didn't have a financial objective of buying a home previously, their accountant has saved them money by paying through taxes, by writing all of their expenses off, right? So unless the self-employed borrower is expressing this financial objective of looking to buy a home with their accountant is going to be on autopilot and do what their accountant does best and save them money and look like a hero, right? So I, as a loan officer, an experienced loan officer with 22 years in the business, I know how to pick this stuff apart. So I'm able to work with self-employed borrowers, calculate figures or income figures backwards, and let them know what they need to show on the tax return in order to qualify. This is going to be key here because this may be the difference of that buyer not qualifying yet again, or not at all, or not qualifying for the amount that they're looking for. And that could be another transaction for you and for me and for all of us. So what I would encourage you also to do is take control of the lender that the buyer is dealing with. If you know them, ask questions. Ask these questions. Have them revisit the income calculations. These are things that are very, very important right now because once those tax returns are filed, it's over. If they don't qualify, we're waiting another year. So this is my little public service announcement for the day.
And Brian, how did rates do today? Did any changes? I think what CPI was yesterday or PPI?
Yeah, the CPI and the PPI were Wednesday and Thursday. So Wednesday, like I said, rates ticked up a little bit. They were over 7. They came back down. Now they're in the high 6s. So they're still good. It's very similar to where it was. The threat of tariffs is still weighing on everything. We're going to get through this though. But the 10-year treasury has been improving, which is a gauge for where mortgage rates are. So that's coming down. So that's helping things.
Fantastic. Well, today I'm going to reverse engineer the listing process, and I'm experimenting. Here we go. I'm experimenting with some new technology here in what most of you would consider to be Orlando, or the locals would know as Dr. Phillips, part of Orlando. And I've got this technology here that I may have a couple hiccups with from our trainer, Reese Stewart. So anyway, today's discussion, let's see. So today's discussion is going to talk about, when you're working with buyers, because I'm really passionate about helping buyers get into homes and giving them the information they need to make the right decisions. Let's see. Okay, now you have a side by side here. Okay, so we're talking about next time I'm going to make this work, but we're talking about working with buyers and how to educate buyers on how to make an offer and how to get offers accepted. And I think we leave it to be a little bit more random. And I want to just maybe, poll a couple of people who are brave volunteers. When you're working with a buyer, can you tell me how do you set the expectation when they find a property that meets their needs? Like what do you do? How do you coach them? How do you guide them? How do you give them confidence to make offers?
Well, one thing I do is that if we have like several homes that we're looking at, I tell them up front, as you look at each home, grade them A, B, or C. And in that way, at the end of the day, when we go over the homes, if you have an A or an A+ home, that's the home that we focus on.
Okay, and now who was that talking?
Jose,
Okay,
from Celebration.
Okay, Jose, great. So that helps you identify what property that they want to make an offer on, which is excellent. That's excellent process to follow. Now, Jose, if they say, all right, I saw 7 properties, obviously this one is double A for, my wife and I, how do we make an offer? We don't overpay, but we want to make sure we get it. Jose, what do we do?
First thing I would say is, what's your initial feeling as far as a price for a home? I want to get their temperature.
I mean, all these prices seem really still pretty high, Jose. Like, can I negotiate down?
There's always room for negotiation. What you want to do is go in with a mindset of, do you want to get the home right off the bat, or do you want to risk somebody else picking up the home because they're willing to pay full price?
Okay. All right. So, Jose, thank you for being a volunteer, and any of those referrals, give it to the people that participate. So you got your QR code there as well. Now, Bobby Golden, you raised your hand.
Yeah, so just kind of piggyback what Jose said, if I'm showing a home to a customer and they're showing some interest in it, and they say, well, what should I do? I'll remind them and explain to them that this market is still pretty aggressive in Middlesex County in New Jersey. And, if you come in below asking price, it's pretty risky. And even if you come in at asking price, there's no guarantee that they're gonna get the home. So so Rob, you're the buyer. I would say to you, Rob, there's 2 strategies to take. You could try to negotiate this, and I understand why you feel that way. But the other strategy is to buy the home. So you have a budget, you know what you want to pay in a monthly payment. Just buy the house. Just buy it. Don't overthink it. Paralysis from analysis. If you think too much about it, you're gonna prevent yourself from buying a home. So if you want to negotiate, that's okay. I'll do my best. But my suggestion to you is to buy the home, figure out what your top dollar is, and let's go in with that offer. And if it doesn't work out, we move on to another property.
Okay.
No,
Thank
I
you.
mean, I'll give you what I would say. I would just show them, hey, this is what houses are selling for that have been on the market for 7 days or less, and show them, what the percentage is, whether it's from the list price to sold price, and use that as a guideline.
Okay. So Bobby Golden from Avenel and Gary Nagurka from Pinebrook, thank you for sharing. I want to try to give you, Wilson, you want to give a stab before I go on to a little bit of detail?
Sure. I just had one that I asked him to show me a home that he found that met the criteria, like the one that he was in. I said, if you can show me another home that matches everything on your checklist like this one does, let's go see it, and then you can make your decision. He couldn't find one, and I said, well, somebody's gonna buy it. Is it gonna be you? And then we talked about, I said, have you ever bought a car without doing a test drive? And he was like, well, no. And I said, well, you have a 10-day test drive period here in Arizona. So
That's
you
the
have 10
the
days where your
inspection-
money's safe.
The inspection period.
Yep.
So
I said, I can get your money back if the wind blows too hard. It's a test drive period.
okay. Any other comments before I kind of give you a little bit of some analytical juice?
I'll say
Hi,
something.
Rob.
Oh, she will.
Go ahead. Is that Beth?
Hi, Rob. It's Deborah.
Deborah. Go ahead. Deborah, and then we'll go to Beth. Hey, Deborah.
So I showed houses the other day, and as soon as I go in the house with the buyers, I could kind of tell that they're interested in it. We showed 4 houses. Their face lights up on the 3rd house. So what I tell them when we walk out, we're on the driveway, I say right away, they'll say we're interested. So I'll tell them, I'll call the listing agent. I'll see where we're at. What I'm finding already is that we're already doing highest and best, and there's so many buyers out. This was in Ford's, and there's so many buyers out. They're doing highest and best in 3 days. So I'll tell the buyer also, I'll see where we're at, see if she called for highest and best yet. I'll pull the comps. I'll see what they're going for. I also go to Najar to see what the house is sold for, what percentage over.
Worst case scenario, you might get an email or anything like that from a Ricardo.
So that's been.
Deborah, unmute yourself. I had some background noise.
So I was saying, basically, I tell them that I'm gonna call the listing agent, see where we're at, if she called for highest and best yet. I explain that I'm gonna pull the comps just to see what closed, in similar to that house. And then I also go on the jar to see what percentage of the houses are closing in that neighborhood, like 102%, 103. But I'm already finding in February, it's aggressive. And when I called the listing agent, the house is listed for 4.25. We were going in at 440, and the listing agent told me already that I need to come in higher than that, and that the seller has a number in his head, and that's not it. And I'm like, I expected this in April, May, and June, but not February. So it's tough already.
What I would do is I would get on the phone with the listing agent and your buyers present so that they can hear that information. Because when you go back and tell them they got to pay more than 440, they're going to think you're scamming them. So I always get them on the phone with the listing agent so that they can actually hear. And I'll say, what do you guys want to do? How much do you like this house? That's my.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ron, Deborah, I think that, those are, kind of critical components as well. But how many times do you get a listing agent that gives you nothing?
Yeah, she said she usually gives me nothing. I
Right.
caught her on a good day, she said.
So yeah, but she could also be playing, like, you don't know if we're being played, you don't know. So
Right.
so all this stuff is really critical. We went from how do we, figure out if it's the right property, which is really that's not what I'm driving at today. I'm driving at, hey, we've taken the person, their face lit up, we found the property that they want, and they give us this puppy look saying, how do we go about making an offer? We love this house, but we don't overpay, the rates are higher, we're a little bit nervous, you give me something, right? And this is where I come in and I say, I want to give you the tools that give them something, okay? Barbara's like, hey, how would you feel if you lost the house? And that's also trying to get that point to where they want to go, right? It's like the seller that doesn't want to give their house away and the buyer doesn't want to overpay. Age-old things, soon as land was invented, this has been occurring. But here's what I want to, let me just pull up my screen here and just share with you a little bit of data. Give me a second. And then for those of you who haven't been on many of these sessions, guess what? I have a spreadsheet. And here's the new approach, or maybe not so new approach. In New Jersey, you know, which is the one where I'm most comfortable with the MLS, not that I'm playing favorites here, just it's easier for me to navigate through it, is I took a look at a town called West Orange. And if I was bringing a buyer out, you know, and this chart took me 15 minutes to do, very, very easy. I went into the MLS and I put all the homes that went under contract from August 14th, which is the past 6 months, that were in the closed status. So it's probably 4 months worth of activity. And I wanted to look at how the properties behaved. So these are all the houses that are, I even took a screenshot of the criteria. I did October, not even August. So I did only 4 months, October, and I did under 650, 3 and 4 bedroom homes in West Orange that were closed. Okay. And there was plenty of results. There were 37 closed units in West Orange. I then proceeded to export the results and sort it by days on market. Because I think one of the things that I want everybody to take away from here is days on market really impact how a buyer needs to proceed with making an offer. Okay. And just like we've had sellers that have walked away from the first offer, said this is too soon, sometimes buyers will see the perfect house, but they won't have the roadmap to be successful. And is there anybody that's had a buyer, they found the perfect house, they probably didn't deploy the right bidding strategy, lost it, and then you had to drive them around for 4 to 6 months before they found the right home again, and they still said it's not as good as the first one? Raise your hand if you've had a client like that. Let me just see how many hands are up. I gotta. So a lot of hands, some painful smiles, right? So if you were able to share with them, and I think that this is really valuable, and I think you'll appreciate it as well. In West Orange, if you were looking at a house and it was new on the market, and new on the market in South Orange, West Orange, where the break point is under 30 days, houses that are on the market under 30 days had 0 price reductions and were selling for 111% of original ask price or list price. Okay, so now fast forward, if Ron Piccolo was looking to buy a property in West Orange and he loved it, and he said, how do I go about making an offer? You know, I would share this data and say, look, Ron, if you're serious about buying, you know, in this environment, just over the past 4 months, these are the numbers. Okay. The lowest price, which was an outlier, was at 98%. And I have my resident skeptic here who said, pick out the lowest and the highest and see what happened. It was exactly the same number. 111% of ask price was what it was selling for. So when we're talking about what's the strategy you have, getting to the point of having them want to make an offer, you know, all your ideas and comments were spot on. But I would come back and I'd say, hey, you know, Ron, if you're serious about this particular property, you know it's new on the market. You know, we had a hard time getting in there to show it because there was a lot of activity. You know, where do you think we need to be if we want to be competitive? Properties listed for 600. We probably need to be 666 or higher, right? Because that's 11% above ask price. Okay, that's kind of like the entry point. If they're coming to you and saying, hey, can I make an offer of 590? Hey, you know, I'll do my best for you, but I just wanted to let you know, I'm sharing this information with you. And if properties stay on longer, they still go in West Orange for 99% of current ask or 96% of the original ask price. And that happens to be a 15% difference when they're on the market over 30 days. So if you're a buyer, you might even have a conversation with your buyers and say, look, you know, there's two things we can focus on: the perfect house when it comes on the market, or we can wait until a house has been on the market, has had a couple of price reductions, and then we can go about trying to get it. However, if you're looking to make an offer of, you know, 10% less, it's probably not going to work, because these are where the numbers are. Did everybody get a chance to see this? Okay. Has anybody ever done anything like this for a buyer? Anybody?
Only if they ask for it, Rob.
Okay.
Not that in depth, but really, I say to them, do you want to see comps? Do you want to see some data from the multiple listing? And if they say yes, then I do the best I can.
So, and Bobby, I think a lot of times we're really great at preparing comps, and we know what the value of the house is. Like, we could say, hey, this is priced reasonable. Okay, but I think another component to getting buyers to be successful is just sharing with them how the market's behaving, right? And now I'm going to show you another set of data. And this is probably 2 miles away. But you can get from West Orange to Union in 2 miles as the crow flies. And in Union, homes that are selling in under 3 weeks, so that the break points a little bit earlier, are selling for 105. Once you go above 3 weeks, it goes down to 103 of the then list price, and there's probably a 3 to 5% price reduction to get those offers. So you're probably looking at about a 98% versus a 105. So if that same buyer is looking in both of those markets, do you think it would be helpful for us to share with them how each market, even though they're very close, behave differently? Yes, right? So, Ron, I'm looking at you, Ron, because I see you shaking your head. Ron Piccolo, do you see, you know, markets in Florida that have different agent strategies for launching listings? Not that Union or West Orange is better or worse. It just helps to know how agent strategy works in those particular markets. Is anybody in Florida, or how about Brian? How about you in Arizona? Do you see like there are some markets or maybe even companies that have different strategies?
Absolutely.
So, and then do you have a process for you kind of sharing that with a buyer that might be looking in two different areas that have, you know, different negotiation strategies?
Well, I think inherently there's different styles, right? There are different negotiation styles. So you just, I don't go specifically and explain like maybe what different companies do or different people are going to do, but inherently there would be differences.
So, and Brian, to take it one step further, right? And some of you have been on earlier masterminds where I've gone in and I'd said, okay, this particular agent, okay, their listings are selling for 3% higher than the competition, okay? And probably not because they're any better than the competition, it's because of the pricing strategy that they tend to use. Okay, so one of the agents on that, you know, if you happen to be showing a property from, you know, an agency that has, or an agent that has a habit of pricing auction style, pricing very aggressively, would that be something that would be worthwhile sharing with a buyer before they make an offer? I think hell yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So this new approach that I'm talking about here is based upon my passion for helping buyers make the right decisions in a very confusing market, right? They see interest rates going up. If you're in Florida, you have property taxes going up, right? You know, is it the right time to buy? Is it not? You know, how do I go about making an offer, right? In parts of Florida, you know, the under 21 days, under 15-day number might be 97, 98%, whereas in New Jersey, it might be 103 to 111. You know, I'm not sure about Arizona, but what would your gut be, Brian, on homes that are selling in under 3 weeks, or maybe even under 15 days? Are they going, you know, on average above ask or slightly below?
We're probably just under ask at that time frame.
So probably a little bit more similar to, you know, our family in Florida, where there's a little bit of negotiating room. But
Correct.
I mean, this is incredibly helpful. So if you have somebody that's selling in Florida and moving back to New Jersey to be near their family, and they see in Florida that, you know, somebody was able to negotiate a little bit off the list price, but then they come up to New Jersey, do you see the benefit of providing this data? And what we've been trained as an industry is we've been trained to look at, it's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,800 square foot house with a 2-car garage. I'm going to comp that out to other ones, and here's what the value is. But whatever you comp that value out, that really doesn't determine whether it's going to get accepted. Okay. I would say it's more dependent upon where the market is in its cycle. Are there, you know, abundant buyers? Are buyers accustomed to paying a lot more? Okay. So I think this data here is an extra component to help you get buyers over the fence and feel good about the decision that they made. Okay. And you know, Wilson, I know you had made a comment that, you know, you have like a 10-day back out period, right? I get that that's a philosophy to get people to take action now, right? Make that move. You don't have to worry about it. But I'd rather get them to buy into the process by giving them data, right? And we talked about in some of these sessions that, you know, our clients don't argue with their own words, right? So I give them the data and say, hey, in Florida, it's 97.5% of original ask price, the homes that sell in the first 3 weeks. And we see a hot property on the market. And I say to you, hey, Gary, you know, how do you want to approach making an offer? And if you're coming in below 97.5, then I'm going to kind of talk more about, you know, where the market is and maybe go through a couple other examples of properties that sold. And ultimately, I want to give them I want to empower them to make that right decision. Does that make any sense? Wilson, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely, I mean, it makes them feel at the end of the day, it kind of gets rid of the buyer's remorse if they're part of the process and go through it.
So even with Lisa Malservici, I don't know if she's on now, but we had actually looked at, you know, is the market hotter for 5 bedrooms in Parkland the past 6 months than it was, you know, a year ago the past 6 months. So I looked at all that data, we exported it. And ironically, you know, it was a little bit of a mixed bag of information. Days on market were up, you know, prices were up, and units sold went from 16 to 20. So you really need, you have a lot of data to consume. And I think what happened is there was a lot more competition. Okay. The sellers were holding pretty steady on the price, but there was still more inventory to move. So, you know, people took longer to decide because they had more choices. But if the buyer in that instance was going to say, hey, now that there's a lot more inventory, I feel like I have a lot more negotiating power, the numbers didn't speak to that. Okay, the numbers said that the average price by any metric, price per assessment, price per square foot, price for a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, all of those numbers showed that the pricing was solid. So anyway, if the one takeaway you have from here is to get the buyers, okay, to come to their conclusion by giving them the data, because the buyers don't argue with their own words. Hey, Mr. Garber, if you like this house and the average is selling for 11% more, this property is listed for 600. Where do you think we need to be with our initial offer?
I would tell them in the mid 650.
656, right? I mean, like so you have the comps, you have the one that was 2 blocks away that sold for 660, right? And now you have another data point which showing that they're selling for 11% above original ask price. So I think the buyer will then have more confidence moving forward and making a reasonable offer. And even in this market, I don't think if your offer is not close to being accepted, many times you don't even get an opportunity to counter, do you?
No,
And do you think all the buyers realize that? Probably
No.
not.
no.
Good, it's
Okay.
Trisha from Arizona. I'm hiding because I haven't been well this week, but something I ask my clients when it gets down to that, like, let's talk about it, $10,000 or $20,000. Are you prepared to let this house go for $20,000? You're purchasing, making the largest purchase in your life, and over the years that you're going to be financing, in the big scheme of things, it's minimal. And I think that really, and only you can make that decision. And I think in most situations, it turns them around and said, yeah, okay, now that you put it that way, that's really, like I say, in the big scheme of things. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hope you're feeling better, and thanks
you.
for contributing. I think all the techniques and tools that we have to, get them to realize, Tricia, there's the, it's the cost of going to the price that you probably need to get it accepted is less than you pay for a cup of coffee a day. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can, equate that to something that they can really say, well, that's really silly for me not to go ahead and do that, right? So I think all of those tools still need to remain in our arsenal, but I do think I'm giving you an extra layer to put on top of that. So you're not going to stop doing those conversations, but you are going to ask questions and say, based on this and based on that. So if you're looking in New Jersey, right, you're 2 miles away, West Orange, Union, New Jersey, completely different market metric, right? They behave differently. And I see Marilyn, you're there. I'm going to call on you because tell me about like how agents in Montclair price versus how agents in Union County price. You're on mute. Okay, maybe you can't talk. Okay. So anyway, but agents, agents in different counties and different markets price differently. Okay.
You know,
And
I can talk to that Montclair point. For a long time, Montclair agents would underprice their listings significantly to draw the most attention that they could, and then they historically would be bid up 50, 75, $100,000 over the list price. And you knew going into Montclair that don't go by what you're seeing the list price to say that, oh, I can afford this town, because you need someone like your realtor to tell you, no, that's not the way things work in this town. So that brings us back to your point about if you've got somebody coming up from Florida or from wherever who's looking to move into New Jersey, northern New Jersey, that's the kind of thing that you need to make sure they understand.
And Robert, there was and I'm going to see if I can find it real quickly here, but there was a analysis I did where there was a bank-owned property, and the bank-owned property went onto the market at 1.3 million, and it wound up selling for over 2.1. Now, whoever saw that coming on at 1.3 was probably like, oh wow, I'm going to steal this. The bank has grossly underpriced it. But I think ultimately they wound up getting a higher price because, they priced it to move.
Right.
And
Well,
yeah,
I
that
can
was
speak to the Montclair pricing because
Auction price.
I just listed a house at 800 and I got 950 in 3 days. And that was minimal because a lot of others go for 200 and even 300 over list.
Come on, let's go.
Yep. So if you have a buyer that was looking in Bergen County, Mickey, and then they go to Montclair, you have some work to do, right? Because they're not used to that, are they? Did I lose you, Mickey?
Sorry,
you're
yeah,
on mute.
I was muted. Yeah, totally. It's different. Actually, the clients that I worked with some buyers also that didn't get it. I had to explain to them that in that town, if you want something in that town, you need to look for houses that are minimally 150 under your budget, whatever your max budget is, in order to get it, in most
Right.
cases.
And Mickey, next time you go there, let's do a spreadsheet. It doesn't take very long at all to just export the data and share it with them instead of having to explain with them, because I know consumers get really, really frustrated and they almost feel like you're playing a game with them. And I know that, you know, it's a hard message to swallow. They see a place for 700,000, they got to bid 9 to be competitive. So anyway, the core of today's conversation is about reverse engineering the process, giving them the data, and even, you know, to the point of saying, hey, you know what, Mickey, if you want to, you know, look for a more competitive property, you know, there may be a value in waiting till properties get on the market over 30 days and we start to take a look at those that haven't been successful and see if we can find, you know, a golden opportunity there, right? A needle in the haystack. So, you know, that's another side to it, because the ones that are on for a little bit longer, you know, there might be an opportunity for us, right? Does anybody ever intentionally, you know, say to their clients, let's look at some properties that have been on for a little bit of time or that have had the price reductions? Because I think there's another strategy that you could have with clients.
I've suggested that to the clients that are constantly looking to underbid on the properties, and I tell them, like, your risk is if you're bidding low, you can lose the properties. We can look at properties that have been on the market for a while, and sometimes I take them out there and let them see the property, and then they see why it's been sitting on the market for 3-6 months. And then it kind of, sometimes that wakes them up in terms of, okay, if I want to get a house that's move-in ready the way I want it, I'm going to need to pay closer to list price.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the clients want us to be informed, and I think they want us to be valuable in helping them make the right decision, right? It's not about trying to figure out how to negotiate. It's about sharing with them how these individual markets are. If I was paying in West Orange, if I was paying 70,000 more on a $700,000 house, you know, human nature is like, wow, this doesn't feel really good. But if I see that all the other sales have been going for, you know, 5 to 26% above ask price, I might actually feel pretty good that I only had to pay 12 or 11% more, right? And then you overlay that with giving them some solid comps to support the value that they're paying. I think it helps them feel good about making that decision, and maybe they're not going to be, you know, unreasonable about home inspection items or having buyer's remorse, right? Because there's something about paying significantly above ask that elevates that buyer's remorse. Anyway, and in all the MLSs that I've played with, the simple way of doing it is to do like a quick CMA, and then you can copy and paste and manipulate the data. And I'm going to show you how I did it. And I did screenshots. And this is in this attachment is the link that's in the email that came out. So this link here is to the Google sheet that I was going over. So I went into the MLS. I did sold. I did I put the county, I put the town that I was looking in. I put under contract date 10/14, so 11/12/12, so that was in the past 4 months. And I put sales price up to 650, and I did 3 to 4 bedrooms. So I wanted to isolate a certain type of property in West Orange. Came up with 37 results. Okay, all I did with these 37 results was I copied and pasted them. Okay, excuse me. First, I went and I did a CMA view print, and then it gives you a lot of like agent complete, client copy, like all these MLSs are very similar. I did a client CMA, and then I copied and pasted all the information from the CMA and put it into the spreadsheet. Easy peasy. Much less time than working on a listing analysis where I go into a lot more detail. So does anybody see that this is something that, 10, 15 minutes is worth it?
Yeah,
To do?
turn your speakers down. Yeah, Rob, I may have missed it when you were showing that first screen. Down here in South Florida on our MLS, where you got the breakdown of the percentages of what's sold. What application in MLS do you know if that we have that down here and what application it is?
So can you do a simple CMA?
Yeah, to get the percentages of what is sold.
Right.
Under and over asking.
Right. So, but if you run the like our simple CMA does give you the over and under here, right? Which is right here. But if you don't have it on my worksheet, I put in original list price here, right? Here's sale price. Here's original. Here's sale price, sale to original list price, and sale to list price. So
I see. So you made this yourself off of the data you got from doing a CMA.
Correct, and it's a simple formula. It's
yeah.
It's original list divided sales price divided by original list, and it gives me a formula.
Okay. Thank
okay,
you.
and it's right. It's super duper easy. Everybody can do it. Literally everybody. As opposed to let me get my
Rob, it's Jennifer. Good morning. Where did you say that we can find this template?
it's in the here, I'll show you that as well. So in the bomb email that you got sent out to you, there is, we'll get to the bomb itself. Okay, on the link that comes out, a new approach to working with buyers, that link right there takes you to the sheet.
Thank you.
Okay, right there. And then once you get to the sheet has a link to the spreadsheet. And then this is screenshots on one MLS on how I got to it. Basically, selected the criteria. Here's the results. Clicked all on the results, and then I said, "Give me a CMA." So it's as simple as this. Sold. Under contract date October 14th. Maximum price 3 to 4 bedrooms. Union County, Union Township. I go to search, 47 results, select all results, and then I go to client CMA, view. This gives me the client CMA, and it says sale to list price, right here, original list price, sale price, and then you have days on market. Okay, notice here, days on market, 68, 13, 0. They're all in random order. What I do is I copy this, I put it onto the spreadsheet, I sort by days on market, and then I look at where the market breaks, right? Where does the market have price elasticity? Where do prices start to drop? And, in one market, it was 21 days, the other market, it was 30 days. So over 21 days, we saw a significant, reduction in original list price to sale price. Another market I saw that, on the 21st day, at that 3-week mark, people started cutting. So I think this is incredibly helpful to get clients to make more reasonable offers that are more likely to be accepted, and thus, giving you, you're delivering what we're hired to deliver, right? We're giving them the information they need to know that really nobody else is providing them with, right? So you say, hey, if we decide to work together, Ryan, this is what we're going to do. When you see a property that you like, we're going to do this in-depth analysis so that you can save money and get the property that you want to get.
Gotta dive deeper for you. I love it.
Right? I mean, nobody, is anybody on this call doing this?
It's
We have-
ridiculous.
Huh? Is anybody doing it? I mean, we have some of the best agents in the industry here, and I don't think many of us are doing it. So this gives you a tremendous, not only perceived value, but a tremendous real value into how you can help your clients, get the outcome that they want. Got to plug myself in here. Does anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to say, this is Tony from Fort Lauderdale. I just want to say is that it's just about the supply and demand. If somebody wants a piece of property, and especially here in Broward, we have some pockets of towns of city there that they have a very low inventory, and it's a very, very high in demand. And the consumer also knows about it, So it's just to look at what's available, because what it's sold. What is on the market is a different story. So you just got to try to do the best you can for your client. Is what's available.
And Tony, I was actually sitting with Scott Kaplan from your office there in Plantation.
Yes.
And he was showing me how the different school districts have different buying behaviors. And he was showing me how the MLS will allow you to overlay the high school. And depending on what high school the property was in, was determining how long it was on the market and what the list to ask price was. So you can get very creative with regard to using these skills based upon what the MLS provides to you, if that makes any sense.
Sure, he's right there, because years ago, about 2-3 years ago, I was involved in a transaction there that this buyer was a professor of a Nova University that we have here. And she had 3 little kids that she had. And she told me specifically that she wanted to be in this zip code. And I could not find anything for her except for one house. And I told her, I said, listen, why don't we go across the street here on the other side of the highway? I have a beautiful house, 5-bedroom, 3 baths, and it's for less money than this one here. She looks at me and says, Tony. Said, that area there, did you know that area has the highest students going to a private school? And I cannot afford to send 3 kids to private school. I said, you're right. So let's go for it. And she bought a smaller house, for more money, just because she wanted to be in that school zone.
Right. So before everybody starts to drop off, right now I am in our new Dr. Phillips office in Orlando. And by a little after 1, I'll be heading over to the Celebration office. So if any of you are doing the Path to Platinum or around there, I'll be there for a little bit this afternoon. And the best part is, if you have any buyers that you're actively working with that are kind of on the fence or need a little bit more data to help get them over the fence, text me, 908-377-5953, 908-377-5953. And this is so much easier than the listing help I've been providing many of you. We can do a screen share. I can create that report. I can role play the discussion with the buyers, and I really hope that this will help buyers make the right decisions and feel more confident in transacting that way, because I cannot provide the value that you provide based upon, Mr. Golden properties in Woodbridge Township. There's nobody that knows that better than you. Many of you are such experts in your area. This is just the additional lift that I think you need to get your clients to make the right decision, right? Because we've all seen buyers and sellers take the wrong action. We've seen sellers turn down their first offer because it's too soon. And that's because we didn't do a good job at setting the expectation. We have buyers that miss out on that property, and virtually all of you raised your hands that you had to spend 2, 3, 4 months chauffeuring them around to have them find the second best, because the property they lost is always like the fish that got away. It's bigger, it's better than it really was because they didn't get it, right? So I want to give you the ammunition to help them make decisions quicker. And this is not trickery. This is not like a game theory. This is giving clients the information to make the best decisions for themselves. And if we overlay the information, the local knowledge we have with, how properties behave, we transparently share that with our consumers. We are gonna, we're gonna sell more homes, but we're gonna help more people. It's that Zig Ziglar. You want to make more money, you want to be more successful, find a way to help more people, and then you'll be in great shape. Okay. So I hope you grasp this. I hope you build it into your buyer conversation, with these buyer consultations and the buyer agency agreements. Here's a significant way to put a lot of space between ourselves and the competition, right? If we show them that this is what we're going to do when they find a property that they want to make an offer on, and then they go to the next lady or man and say, hey, can you help me, the next broker? Do you think anybody else is going to be able to do this? Eric, Todd, whatever your name is, what do you think?
I would say no. I mean, if we decide to work together, here's what happens next. That would be my my takeaway.
Yeah. So Todd is listening. We're doing some role playing before buyer seminar, and what was the other takeaway that you guys came away with?
People don't argue with their own words. Getting t-shirts made up today, Rob.
It's genius, right? You just ask a better question, and then Todd, how long have you been selling real estate?
Since May 20th.
So under a year, huh?
Yes.
So I think your confidence level is getting boosted, right, by knowing the right strategy.
It is, and surrounding myself with people that have been doing it for a lot longer than I have, and I'm just trying to stay silent, grasp as much as I can, and when I have a question, wait for the correct time and I ask my question.
So one of Todd's colleagues had looked up all the biggest objections for I think it was buyers, and then they ran it through ChatGPT, and then they wanted to test it against my answers. And I think I think we need to be leaders in this business. Okay, we can't be sheep. Okay, we have to show people how it's done, right? And without even blinking an eye, and I think you picked up on a couple of things. Hey, if we decide to work together, here's what happens next, right? And people want to know that, right? They don't want to know, well, hey, if we decide to work together, then you can make a decision. Do you want to make an offer? Do you not want? Here's what happens next. We're going to go out and look at properties. You're going to identify the one that you like the best. I'm going to create an analysis like this. I'm going to share with you based upon how many days it's been on the market and what market it's in. What's the best strategy for making an offer that's likely to be successful? Todd, would you find value in that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to sign this buyer's agency agreement. Okay, it outlines how we work together. It's for 180 days or 90 days, whatever your personal proposition is. Okay, and here's the agreement. It identifies how we work together. Sign it, and I'll give you a copy. Simple. right? We give, and then we ask, right? And for me, I'm like explaining how it works. If I went to a surgeon and he says, you know, Rob, you need to get your knee replaced, you know, we can either come in from the left or the right, you know, it's kind of like 50-50. I'm not sure which way I really like to go. I'd be like, I'm getting the hell out of here and getting a different doctor, right? I want somebody that has the confidence and not only the skills, but they have to be able to communicate with me that they have the skills, right? You can probably have a really great surgeon, but if they don't make you comfortable, are you sticking around or not? You are not. Anyway, it's Path to Platinum time, everybody. I'll be here a little bit in Dr. Phillips, and then I'll heading over to Celebration. If anybody has any buyers that you want to get a free consultation from the CEO, you have my cell phone number, text me. We'll do a screen share. It won't take more than 15, 20 minutes max. If it takes more than 20 minutes max, you get your free money back. That was a joke. But anyway, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. All right.
Rob, quick question. It's Jennifer
ahead.
again. On the spreadsheet that you shared with us, the field column N does not update. I think it's locked. Is there a way for you with editing privileges to unlock that field? So when we change the sale
If you're,
price, it updates.
if you're on Path to Platinum, go there. I'm going to stay here and take a look at this. And
Will do.
let's see. You said N.
And
Oh,
so when
the
you
reason-
change the sales price, like on the first one, say you change it to,
so the reason why N is locked is because it's not a formula. This is what came off of the MLS because the sale to list was in the results.
oh, I
Okay,
see.
and then the sale to original ask. That's why it has 2 extra decimal points as well. But you can
Okay.
just create a formula. It's not locked.
will.
You can create a formula. You can do plus.
Perfect.
All right.
You got it. Thanks so much, Rob.
All right. Bye, everybody.